Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
It's great to be here.
Today we're taking a look at a book that claims it'll teach you to be rich.
Oh yeah, I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi.
Exactly. And it's not your typical, save every penny kind of advice.
No.
This is about building a rich life.
Right, having choices, having options, having that freedom.
Yeah, and I think the
Yeah.
testimonials in the book are pretty incredible.
Absolutely.
Like people getting out of massive debt and increasing their salaries by huge amounts.
Can quickly.
And quickly.
Yeah, it's not like decades later kind of results.
Exactly. So we're going to break down the system
Sounds good.
for building a rich life step by step.
Awesome.
And what's interesting about Sethi's approach is that he goes beyond just the numbers.
Right.
It's about the psychology of spending and saving and those big decisions that we sometimes put off.
Yeah, absolutely. And how those decisions affect us financially.
Exactly. So let's jump right in.
Sounds good.
The first thing Sethi tackles is banks and how they often take advantage of people with hidden fees and minimum balances and things like that.
Absolutely. He calls them tricks that banks use to increase their profit.
Yeah. And his solution is to find no-fee, high-interest accounts.
That's right.
And he even gives you a script for negotiating away fees with your current bank.
Oh, wow. That's handy.
Yeah, and there are all these stories of people using the script and saving tons of money.
I love that he makes it so practical.
Yeah, and he makes it really actionable.
Yeah.
So speaking of action, let's talk investing.
Okay, sure.
Sethi really emphasizes that even small, consistent investments
Right.
can turn into a lot of wealth over time.
Huge wealth.
Yeah, thanks to compound interest.
Yeah.
And he has this example of Smart Sally and Dumb Dan.
I've heard of this.
Have you heard this?
I think so, yeah.
So Sally starts investing early in life, and Dan waits. And by retirement, Sally has way more money than Dan.
Way more like double.
Double, just because she started a decade earlier.
And that's the power of starting early.
It really illustrates that.
Absolutely.
And this is where the ladder of personal finance comes in.
Oh, yeah.
It's this framework for prioritizing financial goals.
Yeah. Love this concept.
So it's like building a house.
Right.
You start with the foundation.
You don't start with the roof.
You don't start with the roof exactly.
Makes sense.
So first, you're going to maximize your 401k, especially if your employer matches your contributions.
Free money.
It's free money.
Take advantage of that.
Then you got to tackle those high-interest debts like credit cards.
Oh, yeah. Those are budget killers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And once you've got that foundation, then you can move on to things like Roth IRAs and other investments.
Yeah, it's a really clear roadmap.
Exactly. And once you have that roadmap, then you can start automating everything.
Oh, yeah. Automate.
Sethi is all about automation.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts of the book.
It's brilliant. And he calls it automatic money flow.
Yeah. So you set it and forget it, basically.
You set it and forget it. You set up automatic transfers for bills, savings, and even investments.
It takes so much stress out of managing money.
It really does. And you're less likely to miss payments or forget to invest.
It's like having a personal finance assistant working for you 24/7.
Exactly. And he has this example of Michelle, who automated her entire financial system.
Wow.
She automated everything from her Roth IRA contributions to saving for a wedding to even a down payment on a house.
That is impressive.
And she could just live her life and her money's working for her in the background.
That's the dream.
It really is.
Financial freedom.
But then we come to investing.
Okay.
And a lot of people think that you have to be some kind of Wall Street expert to be successful.
Yeah, that's intimidating.
But Sethi says that's not true.
Good.
He actually debunks the myth that financial experts always know what they're doing.
Really?
Yeah, he says that even professionals often fail to beat the market.
That's surprising.
And he warns against blindly following financial gurus or the media hype around certain stocks or whatever.
It's easy to get caught up in all that.
It really is. And he talks about survivorship bias, which is focusing only on the winners and ignoring all the people who failed.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Like, you only see the success stories.
Exactly. And he also exposes these hidden fees called expense ratios that eat away at your returns.
Oh, those are sneaky.
Yeah, especially with actively managed funds.
So what's the alternative?
Well, Sethi advocates for low-cost index funds and target date funds.
Okay, tell me more about those.
So index funds basically track a specific market index like the S&P 500.
Okay.
So instead of trying to pick individual stocks, you're buying a piece of the entire market.
That sounds a lot simpler.
It is, and because they're passively managed, the fees are much lower.
Gotcha.
And then target date funds are even easier.
How so?
Well, they automatically adjust your asset allocation as you get closer to retirement.
So you don't have to worry about rebalancing and all that.
Exactly.
That's great for hands-off investors.
Yeah, so the point is you don't need to be a financial genius to be successful with investing.
You just need the right knowledge and a solid plan.
Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting,
Oh, how so?
because Sethi dives deep into the psychology of money.
Ooh, that sounds fascinating.
He talks about these invisible money scripts, which are basically subconscious beliefs
Okay.
that shape our financial behavior.
We probably all have those without even realizing it.
Exactly. And he exposes common scripts like underestimating debt or having limiting beliefs about money.
Like thinking you'll never be rich or investing is too risky.
Exactly. Those beliefs can really sabotage our financial progress.
Yeah, they can hold us back.
But the good news is that Sethi shows you how to challenge those negative narratives.
So we can rewrite our money story.
Exactly. He shares all these stories of people who transform their lives just by changing their mindset about money.
That's powerful stuff.
It really is. And it's about recognizing that our beliefs about money are often learned, not innate.
So we can unlearn them and replace them with more empowering beliefs.
Precisely.
I love that.
So are you ready to start spending without guilt?
Ooh.
Well, Sethi has this concept of conscious spending.
Okay, what's that all about?
It's not about being cheap or depriving yourself.
Good.
It's about making deliberate choices and spending on the things that truly matter to you.
So it's about aligning your spending with your values.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he differentiates between cheapness and conscious spending.
I can see how those could get confused.
Yeah, cheapness is about cutting costs no matter what.
Right.
But conscious spending is about prioritizing what's important to you.
Makes sense.
And he has this great example of John, who spends $21,000 a year going out.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is, but he does it guilt-free because he's conscious of his priorities.
Okay.
He's got his finances automated, he invests wisely, and he chooses to prioritize experiences over material possessions.
So he's living his rich life on his own terms.
Exactly. And that's what it's all about, having the freedom to design a life you love.
I love that idea.
And of course, that takes planning. And Sethi provides practical tips for identifying areas to cut spending and strategically allocating your resources to maximize both your enjoyment and your financial security.
So it's about finding that balance.
Exactly.
Awesome.
And think about it. What if you could cut back on things that don't really matter to you
Yeah.
and use that money to fund experiences that bring you joy or achieve a financial goal?
Or even just have a little more breathing room in your budget.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the power of conscious spending.
I'm starting to see how this all ties together.
It's about making your money work for you, not against you.
I like that.
And speaking of making your money work for you, let's talk about something that a lot of people dread:
What's that?
salary negotiation.
Ooh. Yeah, that could be scary.
It can be, but Sethi argues that it's crucial for building wealth.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's amazing how many people leave money on the table just because they're uncomfortable asking for what they're worth.
Yeah, I know a few people like that.
They settle for the first offer, or they avoid the conversation altogether.
They're missing out.
They are. But Sethi provides specific scripts and strategies to help you approach salary negotiation with confidence.
That would be so helpful.
It is, and he even shares the story of Rachel, who used Sethi's advice to secure a 28% salary increase.
Wow, that's life-changing.
It really is. Imagine what you could do with an extra 28% in your paycheck every year.
I'd be able to reach my financial goals so much faster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It all comes down to mastering the art of negotiation and knowing your worth.
That's something I need to work on.
Me too.
Yeah,
But that's a conversation for another time.
definitely. So we were talking about negotiating your salary.
Right, getting what you're worth.
Such an important skill.
It really is.
And it shows confidence, too.
Absolutely.
Like, you know what you bring to the table.
Yeah, and that can lead to even more opportunities down the road.
For sure, for sure.
But Sethi doesn't stop at salary.
Okay.
He also looks at other big life decisions.
Oh, yeah, like what?
Things like student loans, marriage, buying a car, purchasing a home.
Those are the big ones.
Yeah, the ones that can keep you up at night,
Absolutely.
especially when you're dealing with debt or figuring out how to merge finances with a partner.
Right?
And Sethi's a big advocate for open communication,
Oh, yeah, especially about money.
especially with your significant other.
I can see how that could be tricky.
It can be.
But he thinks it can actually strengthen relationships.
He does.
Interesting.
And lead to smarter financial decisions as a couple.
That makes sense when you put it that way.
Yeah, it's about being on the same page.
Yeah. Working together.
Exactly.
So how do you actually start those conversations?
Well, Sethi provides tips for navigating those potentially difficult discussions.
Okay.
He emphasizes planning and prioritizing your values as a couple.
So it's about creating a shared vision.
Exactly.
I like that.
And it's not just about following societal norms either.
Okay.
He encourages you to question those norms, especially when it comes to major life events like weddings.
Oh, yeah, weddings can be a financial minefield.
They can be.
It's easy to get caught up in all the hype.
It is. And Sethi challenges the wedding industry a bit.
How so?
Well, he exposes how it often pressures couples into spending way more than they can afford.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I've seen that happen.
And he crunches the numbers and shows you exactly how much you'd need to save each month to afford that dream wedding without going into debt.
Ooh, that's a reality check.
It is, and it can help couples prioritize what truly matters.
Right, the important thing is celebrating your love, not going broke.
Exactly. And he encourages couples to consider more affordable options.
That makes sense.
And he also talks about prenups.
Ooh, that's a sensitive topic.
It can be, but he's very transparent about his decision to get a prenup with his wife, Cass.
Okay.
He emphasizes that it wasn't about a lack of trust.
More about protecting their futures.
Exactly, and ensuring open communication about money.
So it was a thoughtful decision,
It was.
and it led to some important conversations.
Yeah, about their values and expectations around money.
So it's not always a bad thing.
No, it can actually be a positive step. Now let's move on to those big purchases that a lot of people dream of.
Cars and houses.
You got it.
Okay.
So Sethi doesn't sugarcoat the reality of car depreciation.
Oh, yeah. Cars lose value so fast.
They do.
But he gives tips for minimizing those losses.
He does. He's a big advocate for buying used cars
Makes sense.
because you avoid that initial depreciation hit.
Right, and he says to drive them for as long as possible.
Yeah, don't get caught up in the new car hype.
So true.
Now, when it comes to buying a home, Sethi urges caution.
Okay, why is that?
Well, it's a huge financial decision
It is.
with ongoing expenses that many people underestimate.
Like what?
Where you've got property taxes, insurance, maintenance, all those little things that add up.
Oh, yeah, it's not just the mortgage payment.
Exactly.
So what does he recommend?
He is a firm believer in the 20% down payment rule.
Okay, to avoid being underwater on your mortgage.
Exactly. And he encourages readers to consider the benefits of renting.
Renting isn't always a bad thing.
It's not.
Yeah.
Especially if it allows you to save more aggressively
Yeah, you can invest that money instead.
and avoid the stress of being house poor.
Makes sense.
And he even recommends using the New York Times rent versus buy calculator.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
It helps you make an informed decision based on your individual circumstances.
Very helpful.
So it's all about making the choice that aligns with your rich life, not just blindly following the American dream.
Right, be intentional.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But for those who are ready to buy a home, Sethi has some valuable tips.
Okay, like what?
Well, he stresses the importance of understanding the true costs of homeownership.
Beyond just the mortgage payment.
Exactly.
So all those hidden costs
Yeah. And he advocates for a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage.
for stability and predictability.
Exactly. And he advises against getting caught up in bidding wars or stretching your budget beyond what you can afford.
So being patient and saving diligently,
Yeah, and waiting for the right opportunity.
it's refreshing to hear that kind of advice.
It is.
In a world where people often feel pressured to buy more than they can handle.
It's about making informed decisions that align with your values and long-term financial well-being.
Right, not just keeping up with the Joneses.
Exactly. And remember, even if you're not ready to buy a home, you can still apply Sethi's negotiating skills to other areas of your life.
Oh, yeah, like what?
Think about negotiating a better deal on a car purchase, or your cable bill, or even that gym membership you never use.
Good point.
He even shares his experience using a service called Fighting Chance to research car prices and negotiate effectively.
So there are tools out there to help us.
There are.
That's good to know.
And it's a reminder that we have more power as consumers than we often realize.
Right, we don't have to just accept the first offer.
We don't.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the next level of financial empowerment.
Okay, I'm ready.
Welcome back to our deep dive into I Will Teach You to Be Rich.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have from setting up your systems to tackling those big life decisions.
But what happens after you've got everything running smoothly?
Yeah, where do you go from there?
Well, Sethi provides some great advice for maintaining your momentum
Okay.
and making sure your wealth continues to grow.
So it's not just a one-time fix.
No, it's about building good habits for the long haul.
So how do you keep that momentum going?
He talks about feeding your system.
Feeding your system.
Yeah, the idea that the more you put in, the more you get out. It's like tending a garden. You have to nurture it consistently.
Makes sense.
But it's easy to get distracted, right?
It is. There's so much noise out there.
All those get-rich-quick schemes and market predictions.
And the fear-mongering headlines.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming.
So how do you tune out the noise?
Sethi emphasizes the importance of staying focused on your long-term goals.
Right. Slow and steady wins the race.
Exactly, and that applies to managing your investments, too.
Okay. How so?
He talks about rebalancing your portfolio.
Rebalancing.
Yeah, so your asset allocation stays aligned with your risk tolerance.
Okay, remind me what asset allocation is again.
Sure, it's the mix of stocks, bonds, and cash in your portfolio.
Right, the recipe for your investments.
Exactly, and over time, that mix can change.
Because the market fluctuates.
Right, so you might need to sell some stocks and buy more bonds, or vice versa.
To get back to your target allocation.
Exactly, that's rebalancing.
And how often should you do that?
Sethi provides guidance on that, but it's important to be disciplined and consistent.
So it's not something you do every day.
No more like once or twice a year.
Gotcha.
Now let's talk about something else that's important.
What's that?
Taxes.
Oh, boy.
I know a lot of people dread them.
But Sethi says understanding how taxes work is crucial.
Absolutely. He debunks a lot of myths that can lead to costly mistakes.
So it's about being proactive.
Exactly. And strategic.
Rather than just reacting when tax season rolls around.
Right. And while he doesn't shy away from the political debates around taxes,
He encourages us to focus on the facts.
and understand how different policies might affect us.
It's about being informed and empowered.
Exactly. Now, another area where emotions can run high is when it comes to selling investments.
Oh yeah, it's tempting to sell when the market takes a dip.
But Sethi says selling should be a strategic decision, not an emotional reaction.
So you shouldn't panic and sell everything when things get bumpy.
No, he advocates for staying the course.
Because historically, the market has always trended upwards over the long term.
Right. He even shares how he's never sold a single investment.
Wow.
And it's worked out pretty well for him.
It's a good reminder that patience and discipline are key.
Absolutely. And to help us maintain that long-term perspective.
He introduces the concept of a 10-year plan.
Ooh, I like that.
So it's about thinking beyond our immediate goals.
And envisioning what we want our lives to look like a decade from now.
That's exciting.
It's about dreaming big.
And thinking about all aspects of our lives, not just our finances.
What kind of career do we want? Where do we want to live? How do we want to spend our time?
It's about proactively shaping our future.
Love it.
And finally, Sethi reminds us that true wealth goes beyond just money,
It's about giving back.
making a positive impact on the world.
He encourages us to incorporate philanthropy into our financial plan.
It doesn't have to be a huge amount either.
Even small, consistent contributions can make a difference.
It's about aligning your values with your actions,
And using your resources to support causes you believe in.
making your money meaningful.
Exactly. So what have we learned from our deep dive into I Will Teach You to Be Rich?
Well, we've learned that achieving financial success is about having a system, taking action, and making informed choices.
It's about automating your finances, negotiating your worth, spending consciously, and investing wisely.
It's about challenging limiting beliefs and creating a financial narrative that empowers you.
It's about taking control of your finances and designing the rich life you deserve.
And remember, it's a journey, not a destination.
There's always more to learn, more to grow, and more to achieve.
So keep learning, keep exploring, and keep striving for that rich life, both financially and personally.
That's great advice.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
It was great having you. We hope you found this insightful, inspiring, and most importantly, actionable.
Absolutely.
We encourage you to take what you've learned and put it into practice.
Start small, take one step at a time.
And watch as your financial life transforms.
You got this.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep